for us. And firstly, to clarify about our agenda for today, Ty, are you still giving your speech?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, if you're for sure, no pressure. I was just asking.
And
Yeah,
Chanel,
no,
do you want me to
and-
do Zoom Master?
Sure.
Because you're doing General Evaluator, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, I'll make.
Hi, I'm supposed to introduce you. Can you tell me what number speech this will be?
This will be number 3.
And then I got Farin,
Yeah, Farin's giving his speech also.
and I got you, Farin, right? Do you know what yours is?
I'll be introducing her, Joey.
Oh, you will? You're introducing.
I'm Toastmaster today, right?
Oh, right. Gotcha.
Okay. And then if somebody could volunteer to be the all counter, we need that role filled also. I know everybody already has a role today.
I can do it.
Probably do it. I'm just introducing people.
Okay, Denise. All right, sounds good. So I probably should have said the welcome first, but welcome to Fresno City Toastmasters. I am Chanel, your current club president. I'm going to read our mission statement to start off the meeting. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. We don't have any guests today. We're all members, so welcome everyone. I believe our only piece of information is that our club board did meet yesterday, and we are actively working towards resuming in-person meetings. However, when we do resume in person, we are also putting together a system so we will have a hybrid model. So if you are not able to come in person, you will have the option to continue to meet on Zoom. However, I think that speaking on Zoom has taught us all one way of speaking this past year, and it's been really useful, but I know that speaking in person and actually having that podium and that in-person interaction is a totally different ball game and arena of public speaking. So I think for those of us who haven't had that Toastmasters experience and practice yet, including myself, I have not had a lot of it. I think that meeting in person will be a really helpful thing and a good step. So as much as people will be able to come, as much as you're able to come would be awesome. But again, better on Zoom than not at all. So with that, let's go over some housekeeping. Mute ourselves until called upon, except during table topics. We use our jazz hands for applause. And if you're giving a speech, try to stand up if possible and position your camera so that you have a somewhat of a full body range so that we can see your hand motions and body language. Okay. So with that, I am now going to pass the podium over to our Toastmaster today, the lovely Denise DiBenedetto.
Thank you, Chanel. Am I getting feedback? Okay. Good. Today, hello everyone. I'm your Toastmaster for today. So basically, I'm your MC. I get to introduce our speakers, which is always a privilege, and I sort of set the tone for our meeting by talking about our theme for the day. The theme today is Wanderlust, and I know that there are a few of us in this Toastmasters Club who have that wanderlust in our hearts. I will start with Webster's definition of wanderlust, and it states that it's a strong longing for or an impulse toward wandering. There's other definitions that can be found: a deep and mysterious sense of the beauty of the universe, a wistful longing and yearning in the heart for travels past and future. A lot of us like to travel, but with that love for travel also comes the need for a lot of people to control the destiny, to plan the trip, to have an itinerary, to know exactly what you're going to do each day and be really in control of that trip. But wanderlust is different. Its original meaning is to roam. It's an unpredictable idea, a desire or action to travel without actually knowing the destination and not caring. I personally prefer spontaneous trips. I'm not much of a planner. I'll go along with an itinerary, but it's not fun for me to plan. I like that, to just arrive at a place and kind of let it tell me what I want to discover. It's sort of that wanderlust feeling of just not caring and letting that land or ocean or beach speak to me. So my hope for all of you would be that you'd find time to get out and really wander with the desire to just let it go. Release your need for control, enjoy and truly be in the moment. And for a portion of that wanderlust, I would suggest no phone and no camera. Just let the world speak to you. Listen to what it has to say. Thank you. And now I will give it to our general evaluator, Chanel West.
Thank you, Denise. After that speech, I'm thinking of maybe just taking the rest of the day off work and going wherever the world takes me. I am going to be the general evaluator today, so I will watch over the meeting and make sure that everything is running efficiently and on time. I am going to introduce our evaluation team now. So first, I would like to call up to the podium Forrest, who is our grammarian. Please welcome Forrest.
Thank you, Chanel, and good afternoon, Toastmaster members. I will be your grammarian of the day today. It is my responsibility to introduce new words to the group as the grammarian. It is also my responsibility to comment on the language of the speech for different members of the group, and also provide good examples of good grammar and word usage. So the word I chose for today, being that our word of the day is wanderlust, is actually gumption. I Googled the word of the day and it was the second word down, and it just kind of jumped out to me for a couple different reasons. The first reason being the unfortunate movie that came out during my lifetime that I will always be saddled with. And the other reason is because to have wanderlust, you need to have a certain amount of enterprise or initiative to kind of get up and go and get out there and do that wandering and go and kind of see the world. So the word of the day today is gumption. The definition is common sense, horse sense, enterprise, or initiative. An example of gumption in a sentence is plans for the relocation and expansion of Vacaville's homeless shelter have hit a snag, but it looks like a little gumption and the city's support could keep the project from derailing. The word has been in usage since the early 1700s. The exact origins are unknown, but the earliest known example of its use is found in Britain and Scotland, which includes the form rumble gumption or rum gumption, which kind of gives a sense that maybe the initiative may be born out of, too much rum or rumble. And the word has actually evolved in its use and its meaning to the usage today. And so now it basically means it basically implies ambition or tenacity. And so with that, I introduce to you the word gumption, and I will be evaluating your use of it through the meeting and also your other use of language. Thank you.
Thank you, Forrest. That was very thorough. Also, if you're able to put the word and definition in the chat box for everyone.
Oh, sure.
Thank you. Okay, next I'm going to pass it back to Denise, who will be our all counter today.
Thank you, Chanel. I will be making note of all of the crutch words. For example, but, like, so. I'll be looking for tisks or repetitive words, super long pauses maybe, but more just your crutch words, and then I'll give a report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you. For our timer today is Heather, who is quite adorably posing with a flower. So I will call her up now to describe that to us.
Thank you, Chanel. As she said, I am the timer today, so I'll be timing the 2 speeches that we have, which I believe will be 5 to 7 minutes. And I'll also be timing table topics, which will be 1 to 2. I don't have enough gumption today or in general to figure out that whole screen background thing. So I'll just show you on my phone how long you will have, and then I will pass it back to Chanel.
Thank you, Heather. And finally, our timer today is Joey Myers.
Timer, Zoomer. Zoomer.
Oh.
Right? Am I Zoom master?
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, I couldn't hear you for a second. You were blinking out.
So I will be helping out today for those to get more gumption when speaking in public arenas by allowing the recording of this meeting that you can look back on and see if you were speaking or table topics, any kind of speaking role or evaluation role, that anything that the evaluation team might have missed that could be detracting from our message. So I will be doing that today.
Thank you, Joey. Okay, well, we have 2 speakers today, which is very exciting. So without further ado, I will pass the podium back to Denise to introduce our speakers.
Thank you, Chanel. Our first speaker today is Farin Jacobsen. She will be giving her speech in elective in level 3 of the Engaging Humor Pathway. It's a 3 to 4 minute social speech. Farin is our past president and current VP of Education. This is her 3rd year serving on the board and will be her 4th year as a member of Fresno City Toastmasters. Presenting her speech, I'd like to propose a toast. Farin Jacobsen.
Thank you, Denise. As our club's immediate past president, I'd like to propose a toast. We are Toastmasters after all. As members of Fresno City Toastmasters, let's toast to our new executive board, made up of dedicated individuals who have served more than 1 term and in more than 1 role, as well as a new dedicated member who answered the call to step up to the board for the first time this year. Let's begin with that newest member, Sarah Dawson, also known as Awesome Dawson Cookies. If you didn't already know, she shared her family chocolate chip cookie recipe at a meeting once and graced us all with some Awesome Dawson cookies. Sarah is the executive director of Evangel Home, a shelter for women and children, and I'm excited to have her on board as our club's sergeant at arms. She is in charge of schlepping all of our club's stuff, like our banner, our banner and other items to meetings, and setting up the room when we start our hybrid model of both in-person and Zoom meetings. Sarah has a really positive presence, and she's bouncy and bubbly and just has the spirit of enthusiasm that is infectious. So it's great to see her on the board. Cheers to Sarah. Next, I'd like to recognize our VP of membership for the 2nd year in a row, Denise DiBenedetto. Denise is a very busy woman at work as a contracts administrator for the Fresno County Transportation Authority, but she still makes time to give out free mom hugs to our local LGBT community and to serve on our board to welcome new members. Denise brings a nurturing, motherly, and supportive presence to our club and our board, and you can gauge your speaking skills based on Denise's emotional reactions. You know you've given a good speech if you catch her laughing out loud or wiping her tears away, and we love her for that. Let's also toast to Miss Denny Mason, a longtime board secretary. She takes impeccable minutes at our board meetings, and she helps all of our members improve our lighting on Zoom because she has decades of experience as a professional photographer. In my time on the board, I feel like Denny serves as our voice of reason and wisdom. She also delights us with speeches featuring her Japanese chins, the little dogs that she breeds, and you can always count on her for an excellent speech evaluation. Our longest serving board member is Joey Myers, I believe. He most recently served in my current position as VP of Education, and before that, he was club president. But he always seems to have served as treasurer as well, even when that wasn't his official role. Last year, he definitely served double duty as treasurer when Sonia stepped down. I totally trust him with our money because he figured out how to turn his love for baseball into a 6-figure online business. Or is it 7 or 8 figures by now, Joey? I don't know. You can count on Joey to speak longer than the time limit, but you can always count on him to entertain us with funny stories and drop some really valuable wisdom and life lessons as well. Last but not least is our new president, Chanel West. Chanel is a grant writer for nonprofits, and she came on board last year as VP of Public Relations and dramatically boosted the social media presence of our club. She's, I think, the youngest member of our club, but she has an old soul. She is super smart, and she's definitely more mature, more organized, and more well-spoken than our last president. While I had to navigate the presidency during the COVID-19 shutdowns, Chanel has an even more challenging job of guiding us through the new hybrid meetings as we start to pull out of the pandemic. We held our first board meeting yesterday, and she already had the gumption to go to another club's hybrid meeting to guide us on how we will approach that model pretty soon. Cheers to Chanel. Raise your water bottle, your coffee, whatever you may have, and join me in toasting our new executive board. May we uphold the mission of Fresno City Toastmasters with respect, honor, and a whole lot of fun. Thank you.
Wow. I'm speechless. It was fantastic. That's like got to be one of my favorite speeches that I've seen here. So I'm mark down my crutch word I just used. Great job, Farin. Loved it. Loved it. Woo. Next, we have Ty Martinez. Sorry, Ty, for the segment there. This is going to be Ty's third speech. He is a fairly new member of Toastmasters. I think you've been with us for about 7 months.
It's been maybe
a little longer than that.
Yeah.
But he always brings us great information, and so I give to you, Ty Martinez.
Thank you so much. It has been a while since I've actually been on one of these meetings, so it's great to be back. It's great to see all of you, and I appreciate you all being here. I will admit this is probably the least prepared I've been for any meeting ever. And I kind of went into that with the idea that, I'm going to try to use some of my my skills as someone who likes to speak on the fly. So I thought I would try that for my meeting today. Today, I want to talk to you about doing a hard refresh. I work in software, and I work with a lot of developers, and oftentimes we use a term called hard refresh. What that means is, if you're ever working on software and you're not seeing the latest updates, or if you're ever on a web page and you're not seeing the latest content on that information on the page that you're on, we do what we call a hard refresh, is where you press Shift F5. It's on your keyboard. You can try it anytime you're on a web page, and you always make sure that you are seeing the most accurate information on that page. As of late, I have felt like this term has become very ingrained in my life, because I feel like I have needed to do a hard refresh with my life. I have become, over the last month, I think some of it's due to some of it's due to my schedule that I'm on right now with work. I haven't been here for quite a few classes. I've been doing a little traveling, and I have found myself in a very tired and exhausted state. I almost feel like I'm kind of in a rut a little bit. And the other day, I was walking past my kitchen and I saw some dishes in the sink. And that was kind of when I realized I did not want to wash those dishes. That was the problem. I typically always wash my dishes. I hate having dishes in the sink, and I just wanted to not even deal with it. So kind of doing some internal review, I was like, what is going on with me? I'm not sleeping well. I'm not getting up early anymore. I'm struggling to get up in the mornings. which has never been an issue for me. A lot of the routines that I've kept in my life, like getting up in the morning, making my bed, practicing my faith, doing some type of morning exercise, and then, doing some of the activities I do later in the day, like maybe CrossFit or even hot yoga, which is something I've picked up a while back and have kind of waned on going over the last month. So, excuse me. I can tell that something is going on with me, and I've been trying to figure out what's going on. So I just figured that what I need is a hard refresh in my life. So what does that mean? Because of all these routines that I have in my life, it keeps me very focused. It keeps me motivated. It keeps me on point and on track. And I'm just kind of all over the place right now. So I decided to kind of, like I've been saying, is do a hard refresh, and I'm going to make a commitment to getting back to doing the things that I love to do. And I wanted to share that with you as a way to keep myself accountable for the next week and the upcoming weeks as I come back to these meetings more on a regular basis. So what I did was I'm on day 2 of a 7-day juice cleanse because I feel like I need to refresh my body physically. I have made a commitment to meet with a friend and practice some of my faith, which I have not been doing on a regular basis. So that way I can kind of get back into that activity that brings me a lot of joy and a lot of self-satisfaction. The next thing I'm going to do is I have made a deal with a friend who's going to call me very early in the morning because for some reason I cannot get out of bed. It's been crazy. I don't understand it, but I was talking to this person and they also felt like, I've been going through the same thing. So we're like, okay, I'm going to call you in the morning. You call me in the morning and let's make sure we're both getting up at a reasonable time. The next thing I'm going to do is I am going to make sure that I go to my scheduled classes for CrossFit and also for hot yoga, which is really kind of an important thing for me for both those things. They're really big parts of my life, not so much the yoga part, but I am incorporating that more into my life, or that's what I'd like to do. So I do enjoy it. It makes me feel good, just like CrossFit. So with that, these are the things that I promised to do. And what I want to do at a later date is give you an update on how those things went. And that is my speech for today. Thank you.
Well, again, Ty, you brought it. It takes a lot of gumption to come to Toastmasters and feel like you're unprepared and still give such a great speech. So well done. I think a lot of us are feeling the same way that you're feeling. I think it's the state of the world right now. So just so you don't feel alone in that.
Well, thank you.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I think you spoke to a lot of us today. Great speeches, you guys. Thank you so much. And I am going to give it back to our table topics, not back to, but I'm going to give it to Sarah Dawson, and she's going to lead us through table topics.
Yay, thank you, Denise. Table topics is so much fun. This is a time where we get to practice speaking on the fly and not just have a prepared speech. Anybody is welcome to participate. I have 3 questions. I'll put them in the chat right now and go over them with you. So the first one is, this past year, people have been restrained and not able to travel. Is there anywhere you have been really wanting to go? Why do you want to go? The second one is, tell us about a spontaneous trip you took. And the third one is, there are some people who have no desire to travel. Are you one of those people? If so, tell us why. Those are your 3 questions. They're in the chat. Go ahead and take a look. And I'll go ahead and start with, I think that probably the second one is my favorite. Denise, I was relating to you when you said that you'd like to spontaneously travel. I think one of the most spontaneous ones, I used to be a flight attendant about 20 years ago. And I had just gotten back, this is cell phones had just started coming out, but they didn't really work very well. I was still hardline voice message systems. I just gotten back from a trip. I walked in my door. I heard a phone call from a friend, had left a message, and she said, I'm going to be in Vegas for the weekend. Do you want to come? So I thought, sure, why not? I called her up. She told me the hotel that they were meeting at, And within an hour and a half or 2 hours, I was back on the plane out to my next destination to go visit her in Vegas. I ended up at the hotel. Of course, we still didn't have cell phones and she wasn't there on time. I was trying to sleep in the hotel lobby. You sit in the chairs and try and nod off, but apparently they don't like you to do that in Vegas at all. So they kept waking me up and telling me I couldn't be doing that. But I'm like, I'm waiting for my friend to come. And it wasn't booked. The room wasn't even booked under her name. It was booked under somebody else's name because she was coming with the crew. But anyway, she finally showed up. It was a really, really exciting trip just to be able to say, I'm going to go here. And I could go there because I had no other responsibilities at the time. I had the days off and it was really exciting. So there's one time that was just a spontaneous trip. That was a lot of fun. Who has the gumption to go next? Is that Forrest, were you raising your hand? Or were you just giving it?
I was giving you the thumbs up for the use of the word, but I'll jump in since I'm speaking currently. I think I'm going to go with the same topic that Sarah just touched on, a spontaneous trip that I took. I've traveled extensively in my life, not really spontaneously, more just kind of blowing with the wind of life around me. But there was one spontaneous trip that I took, and it was to Costa Rica. It evolved around a tragedy that me and my friend group had. Our roommate actually died spearfishing off the coast of Morro Bay. He got tangled up in the kelp and wasn't able to get to the surface. And he passed away, and two of my roommates were already booked to go to Costa Rica that week. And due to the death in our family, I just decided that I needed to go and spend time with my friends and go take that trip with them. So within I think a week is pretty spontaneous for an international trip. And so got the tickets booked and went to Costa Rica with my friends, and we went on a surf trip. And so we were going all the way down the coast from the northern end of Costa Rica to the southern end. And it was quite an adventure. We did it backpacking, we took buses, we stayed in hostels, and it was very spontaneous. And the people that we met just in that situation were so wonderful because we hadn't really planned anything, or I hadn't. And so I was just there and just experiencing this environment that I hadn't really planned on experiencing. And it turned out to be a wonderful trip. We met people from all over the world, and it's, from my travel background, it's so refreshing to meet people from other countries and get together as a group and interact with one another. And so that was a wonderful part of that trip. And then we ended up in this place called Pavones, which is the world's longest left breaking wave, or it used to be until they found one in Chile. And it's just an amazing surf break in an amazing place in the jungle. And we actually got some incredible surf there. And that was a wonderful part. I love to surf, but I also got to spend time at the bird sanctuary there, which was right next door, and got to meet with a bunch of biologists who were there protecting the, I think it was not parrots or macaws, but something in that family, and that's what they were working on. And there was also the turtle people who would rescue the eggs from the beach when the turtles would lay them and take them back to the sanctuary, hatch them, and then let the turtles go because they have a large problem with poachers there. And I think that trip, more than most, is what spurred me into ecology. And so it was a wonderful trip, and it really kind of changed the trajectory of my life. And it's kind of one of those things, out of tragedy, good things are born too. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Forrest. That's a lot. And you call them friends, and it sounds like they're more family than friends.
They're close friends. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's good to have those.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Who else would like to answer one of the three questions? Oh, Denny, go.
About 10 years ago, my husband and I went on an international Rotary Convention trip, which was paid for by our club. So we were out of pocket on that one. And we went over to Birmingham. And my husband also scheduled a bus tour over to Scotland because he loves masonry and castles and all of that. But we ended up with a tour guide who wasn't really a tour guide. She just was filling in and didn't know very much. So she would just point out things. Anyway, there was a small mutiny after about 3 days of that. And I decided that the next trip was going to be Balmoral Castle. My husband really was looking forward to going to that. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to stay here at the hotel. So we're both pretty individual. And he went off to Balmoral, and I decided I'm going to go on an adventure today. And I got out the phone book. This is back when phone book. I got out the phone book and I found, I thought I'm going to go to the most different religious service I've ever been to. Just something new. And I found a Quaker service there in Scotland. So I got a taxi. They took me to the service. It was at a college. It was so cool, you guys. It was so interesting. You walk in and it's total silence. The whole service is silent. It's amazing. Then afterwards, after it was all over, a couple of the people came up to me and said, hey, do you want to go to lunch with us? And I didn't have anything to do. So they took me to lunch on some place right on the coast that was overlooking a train track. I got to visit with a hospital administrator, somebody who worked in the government, and a teacher. And I got to learn all about politics and government and all the things that, anyway, it was the best spontaneous trip ever.
That sounds amazing, Denny. It almost sounds like the time you were telling us out in the foothills over here and the little candlelight service where the monks, was that where it was? Oh, that was amazing. I don't know if it's monks. I don't know who it was. Sorry.
Monastery.
Oh, monastery, thanks. All right. Who would like to, anybody else want to answer, want to brave the questions? Yay, Heather.
So I'll answer number 1. Let's see, the place I really want, let me time myself, sorry. The place that I really want to go to next is, I'd have to say, is New Zealand. And the reason is because it's just totally in a different area than I've traveled before. And I am a big fan of The Lord of the Rings, and I've always just wanted to be able to go walk where they walked. And I just think it's just a beautiful country, and I love to experience their culture and see just in person what I've always seen on Pinterest. And then Scotland and Ireland. I really want to be able to go to those 3 different countries next. I love to travel, but if I'm being real, no one really likes the process. Like the next time I do travel, I plan to get really good seats because it's not fun when you're what I call chicken class for 12 plus hours, just all cooped up. So the next time we plan to travel internationally, I will definitely be spending a little extra money just to be a little bit more comfortable because I think it's worth the price. But yeah, that's where I want to go to next.
Hi, thanks, Heather. So if you had to be a, what do you call it, a character in Lord of the Rings, who would you be?
Sam. I love Sam. Samwise. He's the best because he never gave up on Frodo and he continued and he had the gumption to keep moving forward. So yeah, I love Sam.
I could totally picture you as a loyal and faithful friend like him.
Thank you.
All right, who's next? Is anybody, maybe is there anybody that could answer number 3 where you're not a travel person and you like to be home?
I am a travel person to an extent. I do not like flying. I hate long car trips. You know, when I go to LA for a week, it's fun, but it's not. I can't wait to get home. So I wouldn't say that I'm against traveling, but I know like the next big trip, well, I'm supposed to go to Miami pretty soon here, but everyone's like, oh, you should be so excited about that. And I'm like, there's still a flight there. And I'm one of those people though that I don't want to leave the house typically, but if you get me out, I will have a good time. And I'll be like, yeah, I should have just left. You know what I mean? I shouldn't have made a big deal about not going. I'm terrible with that.
Oh no, my grandmother was very much like that. Her favorite poem was Home Sweet Home. She just liked to be home and she liked her family to come to her and she never got out. She was also kind of adventurous, but she really loved home as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've been doing a lot of traveling lately, so I think maybe that's why I'm kind of sour on it right now. But I would like to go to another country soon. It's been
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ty. See, who has not gone yet? Joey, you want to go?
Yes, ma'am. So
Okay.
where I really want to go, I love traveling, and I'm, as many of you know, I'm an extrovert, so I love just relationships and things like that. But I would love to go back to Italy. My wife and I, when we were dating, went to Italy to study for a semester or so back in 2004. And if it wasn't for everything going on right now, we would probably go back sooner than later. But with all the travel weird isms going on right now, and you probably all could imagine what I mean by that, probably going to hold off until the dust settles and things get a little bit more to normal, because when we went, it was beautiful. Everything wasn't hunky dory. We had our times and things like that. But one of the things with good hunky dory times that we ended up getting into, some of you have heard me tell this story. I'll keep this one short. It's for maybe another speech, but my wife and I, dating at the time, went to Spain. We were going to go to Madrid and meet a friend who was took an Italian class before we left. He ended up going to Spain though and studying for a semester, and we we're going to meet him in Madrid. And on an overnight train on the way there, we got rerouted to Barcelona early in the morning because the Madrid train bombings happened. And we were on our way probably about an hour and a half out or so. So we just missed it. And they trained us into Barcelona, and everything's going crazy. And we see on the TV all this crazy carnage stuff going on. So we had just missed that. So I couldn't imagine going over there now, not saying that would happen again, but if things were good then and something like that happened, which seemed like the start of everything after the 2001 9/11 happened, it was like that was one of the first big terrorist things that went down after the 9/11, the Twin Towers. I just couldn't imagine with the environment now and the atmosphere now going over there. So we will wait. We will let the hourglass do its thing and empty. And then at some point we will head over and see our friends that we met over there.
Thanks, Joey. I hope you do get to go see your friends. That'd be great. I think that might be all the time we have. I'm going to turn it back over to Denise.
Thank you, Sarah. It actually needs to go back to Chanel, the general evaluator.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
It's okay. I always do that myself, so no problem.
Thank you, Sarah. Good table topics. I enjoyed listening to everybody's stories. I'm just going to introduce our evaluators. So our first evaluator to give her review of Farin's speech will be Denny. Please welcome Denny.
Farin, great speech. I enjoyed that, especially when you compliment me like that. Wow. You did a great job on the speech and on the toast. I think I'm going to hire you next time. You were very specific about what the toast was about, and you drew all of us in. We were all waiting for the next person and what you were going to say about that person, which was great. You covered everybody on there. And having just come out of a board meeting yesterday, I know that everybody was in there. And you did extensive work on coming up with a little bio on each person. I thought that was really personal and a very nice touch. If there's anything to improve on, I would say there was just a little sense of that it was being read in the beginning. And then as you got going, it felt a little bit more comfortable. And in saying, everyone raise your glasses, or I'd like to propose a toast, there's that little sort of lilt that goes up at the end of a sentence that's very common these days. A lot of people use that. However, in a toast, I think it's really great to just make an emphatic, everyone raise your glasses. and make that point. And by the end of the speech, that was there. There were a couple of tips in there. And those are the only things. I'm being super picky. I'm picking on you now because you're at those higher levels. I have to do that. It was a great toast. Thank you very much for all of the sweet things you said about me and everyone else. Great speech, Farin.
Thank you, Denny.
Next, please welcome to the podium Joey, who will be evaluating Ty's speech.
Thank you, Chanel. Let me pin my things here real quick. Get Ty in here. Where are you at, Ty? There you are. Boom. All right, Mr. Ty. So third speech today. So good. I love that you're getting up, and especially for our newer members, we want to make sure you're getting up. And I was just thinking with our meetings, I know you had busy, you were out traveling and things like that for work. And sometimes it's the summer too, right? Summertime, things get pretty busy with just everybody because those have kids, the kids are at home, and maybe parents that are normally teachers are off. And so things are just a little different going out of town and things like that. And so sometimes in Toastmasters, we have good reason, obviously, to not be at meetings. And then sometimes we can start to see some members that maybe joined early and we're not seeing them as much. And then we don't maybe see them again. And I don't think you're in that group. It's just more of revealed in your speech, which was good. And I love that hard refresh. And that's something that not a lot of people know that aren't in the tech industry. I actually just got back to that. I'm working with a developer right now on one of our websites, and he talked about doing a hard refresh on the site. So I completely understand, but I love how you had the definition of that for those that don't understand what that means or not aware of that. And then you tied it into your own life. A lot of times what's hard with tech stuff, tech phrases, is that not a lot of people are into tech. And I don't know what percentage of the population would understand it, but I would probably assume pretty low. So it's nice when you can tie a tech phenomenon or a term in with your real life. So you went through the biggest thing, I think the biggest power of your speech was tying in some of the things where you said, I'm usually I got a lot of positive stuff in my life. I have a lot of things that motivate me and focus. And you gave some examples of those, like when you're working out and things like that. And so what that helps with people is you create that connection with your audience. And Denise nailed it right on the head. I knew I was going to talk about it. And then she talked about that. There's a lot of things that you mentioned in your speech that we all can relate to. We're not all in a positive mood all the time. That's just not being human. There's going to be times where there's dips. Now, some people might camouflage that and try and hide that. But if you're saying that you're never in a bottom state or in a valley versus a peak, then you're lying to yourself and everybody else. So that's a very good connection to the audience. And you gave examples of that. It's really good. And then you gave us, possibly some of us, some things that we can do if we're in that same state to get out of it. So you gave not only a problem, what the problems are, because we could all wallow in our problems, all of us, I'm sure. But at that point, at the end of that, we want to say, okay, how can we fix it? You can't just tell somebody to stop smoking. You have to give them some ways to stop smoking, or else they're never going to listen to you, right? So I thought you did a great job of, this is a great connection, a great example of that, especially the fact that man after my own heart, trying to speak on the fly and the least prepared thing. And that's a good thing. And I've told most of you here that that's what I've push myself to be able to do here. Now, what a challenge wise. So what I would say is, now, were you able to get into pathways? Did you read through the speech thing at all? Or did you just kind of bring this up?
I kind of just brought it up. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the one thing to challenge yourself with, because I think the third speech is you're taking the first two, you're taking the evaluation, what you get in the evaluation, and using those to improve on this speech. And you could almost do the same speech for 3 speeches and improve on it as you go, or you can do 3 different speeches, but using the evaluation to improve each speech. You can do it either way. Toastmasters isn't really specific on that. So that's maybe the one thing is maybe going through in pathways. And if you need help with that, I can help you, or any one of the board members can help you get in. But to go through that whole thing, I know it's kind of tedious sometimes, but going through there and seeing what the speech is asking you to do. And then again, the third one is a good one, because you're using all those past ones to make your current one better. So that's the only thing I would challenge you with. I think you did a great job in this one. It was such a great, even though not as organized, like you said, you weren't as prepared, but I think it was organized. And I think you did a great connection with the audience. So great work, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I felt like my ideas were organized. I just didn't really practice the words, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it was organized. It just like you said, preparedness. And I know exactly what that means, being unprepared, because I do it myself. So thanks, Ty.
Okay, thank you. Jazz hands for our evaluators. Next, I'm going to call up the evaluation team again to give their end of the meeting reports. So firstly, please welcome Heather to give our timer report.
Thank you. Okay, so we have for table topics, oh, actually, let me back up a little bit. For the speeches, I misspoke. It was actually 3 to 4 minutes for Farin's speech, not 5 to 7. And Farin, you were right on the money. It's 4 exactly, so you were perfect. Let's see, then we also have Ty. You were at 4 minutes and 48 seconds, so just a few seconds shy from 5 minutes. So it's pretty good for.
It felt so much longer.
I know the feeling. I feel like I ramble. So, and then for table topics, we have Joey at 1:55, Sarah 1:20, Ty 56 seconds, Forrest 2:52. We have Farin. Oh wait, no, excuse me. We have Denny at 1:57, and then for the evaluations, Denny, it was 2 minutes and 33 seconds, and for Joey, it was 4 minutes and 21 seconds. And that is what I have for the timers today.
Thank you, Heather. Next, please welcome Denise to give us our all counter report.
Here we go. I was going to be nice. And then I thought, we're all here to learn and get better, right?
Here it
I'm going to
comes.
start with Forrest. You're new. You love and So those are your 2 words that you need to look out for and just really work on trying to eliminate those. You are a natural speaker. You seem to be a natural storyteller, and those are so easy to just slip in there. So just be aware of that. Next was, there's an for me, and I had an that I'm sure of earlier. So put me down for that. Just did it again. Joey, actually, I was surprised. I got about 3 so's, a few ands, which is not like you at all. So I don't know if I was really diligent or you were kind of lazy today.
Lazy, probably. And you were diligent, both.
Right. Heather, you spared, like you didn't have any prejudice against them. You used and, okay, so, and Sarah, I got 1 so. Denny, I got an a so, and a but. Ty, this is what I wanted to say to you. Coming unprepared, having an emotional speech, you had a few so's and 1 That is really impressive. So kudos to you for that. I'm going to end this with Farin. I did not hear the tisks that Denny did, so I had you down for 0. Congratulations. That's it.
Denise, did you happen to catch one?
Chanel, I didn't catch one.
I know that I had
quite a because I didn't catch one. I usually start with, yeah, good job.
I'll wrap myself out because I know I've been starting quite a few sentences with so or okay.
I missed it.
And, oh, sorry, I forgot who the grammarian was. Finally, I would like to call up Forrest to give us our grammarian report.
Thank you, Chanel. So the word of the day was wanderlust, and the grammarian word of the day was gumption. Sarah, Heather, Joey, Denise, Farin all used it perfectly. The usage was proper and they worked it in fairly naturally into their speech. It's a kind of an unusual word and I think you guys used it really well. Farin, I want to talk about your speech. I really enjoyed it. What a great way to do a toast. I hope that I can get to that level at some point. So what I noticed was no superfluous words. There were no extra words. It was very focused. You also used the word delights us, which I really like. It was delightful to hear. You don't hear that very much. I think it was a really good usage of the word. It's not used very commonly anymore. You did use the word super smart to describe Chanel, I think, and I think a better word would be intelligent or something along those lines. But again, your speech was awesome. I really enjoyed it. Plus you worked gumption into it, so A+. Ty, your speech was great. I didn't catch any bad grammar or usage. I thought your speech was fine. It was very what is the right word? Very
Delightful.
delightful and very, it was kind of like a conversation with a friend, which I really enjoyed. Sarah, you used the word gotten, which I think it could be up for debate whether or not it's good grammar or not. I'll just throw it out there. Great flow though. I love the flow of your speeches. You seem to really have a great way to just structure your sentences where you don't leave. I tend to leave kind of this hanging chat at the end of my sentences when I don't know what to say, and you are just very thorough and you wrap it up each sentence very nicely. Joey, it's always a pleasure to hear you speak. You are kind of my model for the way I want to be able to speak. You have really great grammar and sentence structure during your table topics, and during your evaluation speech, you had amazing flow. Maybe just slow it down by like 0.2 of a second and it'll just be perfect. Denny, your grammar is very deliberate. And I really like that. You choose your words very carefully and you have a really great grasp of language and the words you select are really wonderful. I have nothing bad to say about the grammar that you used or any suggestions. I think you nailed it. And that's everything I have written down. I hope I didn't miss anybody.
Wow.
You're hired.
Yeah, that was a great presentation there, Forrest. Awesome.
Thank you. I just could not help myself but and all the way through it. So thank you, Denise, for bringing that up. Those are my crutch words. I have to do something about it. So thank you.
Me too.
Yes, thank you, Forrest, for being so thorough and bringing more of a robustness to the grammarian report. I like that too. I appreciate it. I want to make sure we get out of here on time, so I will be very brief in my evaluation, but we had a really good meeting today, very full. Our speeches were excellent. Farin, you are a wordsmith, most definitely, and you're a writer, and I think that there is definitely a correlation between being a writer and being a very, very clear, well-spoken speaker. And Ty, kudos to you for your bravery and just willing to being able to, your gumption, I should say, and getting up and going for it. I think that that's definitely one of the purposes of Toastmasters, and you went for it. With that, I'll give out rewards real quickly, rewards to both of our speakers and to and to everybody who stepped up to take a role today who was not already in one. I don't have time to think through who that was, but you know who you are, so good job. Thank you. So we're going to fill out next week's agenda. The only person that I have down at all for speaking right now is Joey next week. Joey, does that still work for you?
Yeah, man, it's 80s theme, my favorite.
Awesome. And we don't have any speakers scheduled after that, so let's jump on, guys. I think I'm going to put myself down for a week or two out. Farin, you want to?
Yeah, my elective, I have to give 2 of these social speeches. So
okay. What day do you want? You want to do?
I can do next week.
Next week, okay.
3 to 4 minutes.
Awesome. Okay, who would like to evaluate Farin and Joey?
Do I get to evaluate her again?
You can evaluate me, Denny.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that. And
Sarah
Sarah, do you want to evaluate?
or Farin?
Great.
Denise?
Okay, so who's going to volunteer for Toastmaster, General Evaluator, and Table Topic?
You can put me in for table topics, Chanel.
Okay. If there's somebody else there to take if they can.
Yep.
Denise, are you going to be here?
You're on mute,
You're
Denise.
muted.
Yeah, next week?
Mhm.
Yeah, I was going to evaluate Farin's speech. And then I can just fill in if there's a vacant spot.
Or I think Sarah, was Sarah going to do Farin's speech?
Denise can
Oh,
take it.
okay.
You-
No,
you can
go ahead.
Put me wherever. What are we filling in next?
Toastmaster, General Evaluator.
Sure, yeah, if somebody, yeah, I'll take whatever.
Toastmasters,
Thanks.
80s.
Okay, I'll
Sure.
put you down for Toastmaster.
Yeah, Sarah, you
Somebody
look
else
like
really
you like
wants
the
it, they can
80s.
have it. Somebody loves the 80s. My sister-in-law loves the 80s. So.
I can't wait.
Don't you forget about me.
And Ty or Forrest, are either of you planning on being here next week?
I will be here next week.
Okay, what role would you like to take?
I can do Zoom Master or that's needed.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to attend next week, but I will be there the following week.
That's fine. All right, I'll put down for what we have then, and we can fill in the rest later. Okay. Does anybody have any other comments, questions, complaints?
Okay, great meeting today.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned then. Have a great week, everybody.
Have a good week.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.